Chapter 3: The Origin of the Great Tao. The disciples of Yanlong Valley didn't know that the old saint was full of excitement and anxiety at the moment. What an honor it is for him to accept a descendant of a great emperor as his disciple. And even this great emperor is the first, since the creation of the world, and the founder of martial arts. It is enough to make him famous and immortal. One Dao sect and 6 in Jianzhai must also want to find this boy. We must hurry, the old saint urged, and then said, "No, I have to go there myself. Those old immortals may go there in person regardless of their status. At that time, my disciple may be forcibly kidnapped by them." Everyone was stunned. Are you still a saint? If a saint wants to accept a disciple, won't the world's talents rush over eagerly? This one is good. He feels unsafe to send someone to pick him up. He is afraid of being kidnapped. So he decided to go there in person. Hiss! I envy the young man who just awakened the great emperor's Dharma image. But at this moment, the strange phenomenon between heaven and earth reappeared. Another golden lotus bloomed, and it became a twin flower with the previous one. The law was materialized, entwined on the lotus, and it was within easy reach. What? Seeing this scene, ordinary warriors were just shocked. But the kings and saints were so excited that they were about to faint. The law of heaven and earth. If they can absorb and refine these laws, they will be able to go further. The old saint of Yanlong Valley was already confused. What does it mean that two golden lotuses of 10,000 ways are born at the same time? Another descendant of the emperor has awakened the Dharma. It's too coincidental, isn't it? I will also accept this person as a disciple. After just a moment of surprise, the old saint shouted loudly. As soon as the roar fell, the third golden lotus of 10,000 ways appeared in the sky. The three lotuses stood side by side, and every time they were raised, countless fragments of the law were swung, mysterious and infinite. The old saint pursed his lips, as if he had lost the ability to speak. This is a saint, a being who can pick stars with his hands and crush the underworld with his feet. He would not frown even if the sky collapsed in front of him, but now he is confused. The third descendant of the emperor. 3. I want them all. Boom. The fourth golden lotus bloomed, also entangled with endless fragments of laws. These fragments of laws blended with each other and even evolved into various secret methods. Many geniuses sat down cross-legged and pondered these laws. As long as they could comprehend one or two, they would benefit for the rest of their lives. The old saint was completely speechless. This is the fourth descendant of the emperor. And it happened that he also awakened the Dharma. How could it be so coincidental? But is there any other possibility besides this explanation? The old saint was confused. For the first time, he found that he had lived on a dog for thousands of years. He was too ignorant. However, the shock ended here. How could it be possible? The fifth, sixth, and ninth golden lotuses appeared one after another. For a moment, the sky was completely covered by 9 golden lotuses. The fragments of the laws blended with each other, evolving endless wonderful methods and mysterious sounds. Similar scenes occurred at the same time in the Wandao sect and Tianmo sect, which were among the top forces in Juzhou. Old monsters who had not appeared in the world for hundreds of years reappeared in the world and flew away from their seclusion like meteors. This day, the world was shocked. However, as the initiator of everything, Yan was extremely indifferent. The first emperor in the world, the supreme existence who lived for 9 lives, what else could move him? Come back, he shouted softly, and the 9 golden lotuses in the sky immediately flew down, shrinking rapidly as they flew. And when they came in front of him, they were only 3 inches high. And the 9 golden lotuses also merged together, turning into a strange lotus that looked like jade but not jade, and like gold but not gold. Every life is cultivating the 10,000 ways of the world. After 9 lives, the 10,000 ways merge into one. And this is the Great Tao. The Great Tao is above the Heavenly Tao. Make an analogy. The Heavenly Tao is equivalent to the Emperor, who naturally has the final say and commands the world. But the Emperor will die and be replaced by a new Emperor. While the Great Tao is the heaven and earth itself, which never changes. The Heavenly Tao is impermanent, while the Great Tao is eternal. No mistakes. One post, one content, 1/6, 1/9, one book, one forum. But only the great emperor can touch the heavenly Tao. So who can get a glimpse of the great Tao hidden under the heavenly Tao? Even an existence like Yan lived for 9 lives. And finally his soul was placed in the great Tao before he finally realized it. The 9-life 10,000 Tao Golden Lotus merged into the great Tao Golden Lotus. Whoosh! And sank into Yan's body, taking root in the Danshan, swaying gently, mysterious and infinite. Dharma, success. If people were to see this scene, they would definitely be shocked to the point of numbness, and they would not dare to believe their eyes at all. The Dharma image is either inherited through blood, awakened after birth, or condensed after reaching the 3rd level. How can it be created by oneself before reaching the 9th level? It is impossible for others, but it is easy for the former emperor. The next step is the physical body. Yan murmured. The Dharma image can accelerate cultivation and enhance combat power, but it has no effect on the defense of the physical body. Although the Dharma image can also defend, it needs to be done actively and cannot be passively defended. But when a warrior encounters an enemy, can he guarantee that everyone will attack from the front and not sneak attack? Therefore, the strength of the physical body is very important, which can ensure that even if you encounter a sneak attack or take a hard hit, you still have the power to counterattack, or even be completely unharmed. Gods and demons are born with strong physics. There are the black tortoises with invincible defense, the white tigers with unparalleled attack power, and the red phoenixes that can be reborn after being bathed in fire. Yan counted the best physics in the world. In the past, I killed all the top gods and demons, extracted their essence, and integrated it into the human race, so that the physique also became a heritage that the human race can inherit through blood. However, gods and demons are born from heaven and earth, and their physics are naturally given by heaven. So in the final analysis, it still returns to the most original word Tao. Then, I will extract the origin of the Tao in this life and cast my body. Come! He shouted softly, and suddenly there were fragments between heaven and earth that were invisible to the naked eye, flying down towards him. But at the same time, the sky above the entire Shai County was also covered with a layer of black clouds, and the terrifying lightning surged in the clouds and turned into a real dragon, rumbling, thundering continuously, as if the sky was angry and was about to send down thunder punishment. The strong men of the entire Chujo were all shocked. They could clearly sense that the laws of heaven and earth were gathering and seemed to be about to launch a terrible attack. Who in the world can stop it? Even the saints can only be killed in seconds. Who committed such a heinous crime that caused the heaven and earth to produce the supreme thunder punishment to wipe it out? Mortals cannot sense all this, but they are unaware of it. But animals are sensitive. Countless birds soared into the sky, and countless beasts hugged their heads and curled up, as if the end of the world has come. Yan glanced at the sky and shook his head. I have given you all my 9 lives of cultivation. What's wrong with extracting some of your Tao origin in this life? Why are you so stingy? If people hear this, even saints will tremble. Tao origin? What is this concept? If someone can take away all the Tao origins, wouldn't he be able to replace the sky? My one thought is the will of heaven and earth, the law, and the way of heaven. No wonder the heaven and earth send out thunder to wipe out Yan. This is a fight with the heaven and earth for the control of this world. Chapter 4 3 Realms a Day. Haha, it's just a little bit. Recasting my body is not really about to seize your power, Yan said again, and his voice turned into mysterious characters and merged into the world. The cultivation of the 9 generations scattered into the world suddenly resonated with each other, suppressing the power of the world. In the thunder clouds, thunder dragons made of lightning were roaring constantly, but they could not get over it, as if they were bound. Heaven and earth are not kind, and regard all things as equals, and will never give mercy outside the law. For whom Yan has integrated his 9th lifetime cultivation into heaven and earth. In a sense, heaven and earth are also part of him, and he has the power of heaven and earth. The qualification also allows him to influence and interfere with the heavenly tribulation. Take this opportunity to collect it. Swish! Endless fragments of the great way were sank into Yan's body, melted into his skin, muscles, bones, and blood, completely recasting his mortal fetus, reborn and showing off his god of creation. Alas, at this moment, the thunder dragons in the sky finally broke free from their shackles. After all, Yan cannot truly control the great way, and being able to cause influence and intervention, is also the result of 9 generations of hard work. It is already a defiance of heaven to last for such a little time. Unless he reaches his heyday, he is truly qualified to fight with the heavens and with the heavens. A fight. Seeing that thunder dragons were about to roar and rush down, Yi Yan smiled and stopped the action of extracting the origin of the Tao he had already accomplished. The breath disappeared in an instant, as if it did not belong to this world. Suddenly, these thunder dragons lost their targets and could only explode in the sky. Yi Yan stood up. The mortal fetus had been recast into the original body of the Tao, although it is still very weak now. Its growth potential is immeasurable. Now the acquired realm is completely unable to break my body. Even if I want to hurt the innate realm, I have to take some trouble. He smiled slightly, however, relying on the 9th generation cultivation level. I have barely suppressed the backlash of the power of heaven and earth. The original body of the great Tao was forged, but the backlash of heaven and earth completely cut off my connection with these cultivation levels, and could no longer be used. The reason why he was able to be reborn million years later is because he used the power of 9 lives to preserve his soul mark at the moment of his physical death in his previous life, and it was hidden deep in the Great Way. Otherwise, he would not have escaped words. Xingqiang and others searches later. These 9 generation forces can only affect the world and cannot kill the enemy. Otherwise he would have killed Yan Xingqiang and the others. Whether it is the soul placing the Great Way, or the extraction of the original source of the Great Way to forge the body, it is an extremely destiny and will naturally be counterattacked by heaven and earth. Start again and start over. I can become an emperor 9 times, and naturally I can reach the top 10. And if I can see the Great Way in this life, I will be stronger. Start practice. Yi Yan took a deep breath. Home, the golden lotus of the great Tao radiates, and the spiritual energy within a radius of 10 miles rushed towards him like a thirsty horse drinking spring. He was swallowed by all whales, flowing along the meridians, quickly transforming into spiritual liquid that he could use, and finally pouring into the Danshan. It seemed like it was pouring rain in the barren and dry Danshan, quickly raising the water level. This is the awesomeness of Dharma. Without Dharma images, one cannot interact with heaven and earth. He can only rely on his physical body to absorb spiritual energy within a limited range, and ordinary people can only hold onto a foot of it. Of course, even if you have a Dharma image, it is not so exaggerated. The 9-grade Dharma image affects at most about a meter, and the 1-grade Dharma image also affects at most 10-meter range, 10 miles. Unheard of, but this is the Dharma image of the great Tao. Golden Lotus. It takes 9 lifetimes for the great emperors to cultivate it. How can it be compared with ordinary Dharma image? After only a dozen breaths, Yi Yan's Danshan was full. Break, he said lightly, p, and several shackles seemed to be broken in his body. And the Danshan, which had already reached its limit, expanded towards the surroundings. Double, triple, 10 times, oh my god. The 9th level of martial arts. The 9th level is the acquired realm, also known as the Danhai realm, which means expanding the Danshan space 9 times. The first time is the acquired level 1, and after 9 times, the acquired level 9, which is qualified to impact the next realm, innate realm. However, when most people break through the small realm in the acquired realm, they can only double their Danshan. The one who can expand twice is a genius, and 3 times can be called a top genius. Yi Yan is 10 times more likely. From this point of view alone, his acquired level can match the acquired level 3 or even 4 levels. Coupled with the terrifying physical strength of the original body of the Tao, his combat power can be improved by a lot. Isn't this level crossing battle easy to drink water? Moreover, it is too easy for him to break through the realm. If you think of it and the realm is broken, it is natural to drink water. What about others? It takes more than a month to fill the Danshan just from scratch. However, he only practices in one go. Although it is not as difficult as a big realm than a big realm, he has to prepare for several days, or even prepare some elixirs, right? That's natural. If the 9th-generation emperor did it again and could not form a crushing advantage, wouldn't he be the first emperor since the opening of the sky and the splitting the earth? Yi Yan took a deep breath again, and bang! The spiritual energy of heaven and earth rolled in. Even if the space of the Danshan has expanded 10 times, it only takes dozens of breaths to fill it. The peak of the acquired level. Broken, Yian said softly, puffing, and the sound of shackles breaking sounded in his body again. The Danshan that had just expanded had once again expanded rapidly to the surroundings. Twice, 3 times, 10 times, still 10 times. The peak of the second level of the acquired day. Yian had no joy or sorrow, and he still exhaled and inhaled. This time it took a little longer. After hundreds of breaths, the Danshan was full for the 3rd time. Break. The 3rd level of the acquired realm. No mistakes. 1 post, 1 content, 1 6, 1 9, 1 book, 1 forum, in 1 practice. He started from 0 and reached the 3rd level of the acquired realm in less than half an hour. How amazing is this progress? Only he, the former emperor, can do it. Yian stopped. The thousands of golden lotuses in the Danshan no longer glowed, as if they had exhausted their energy. It doesn't matter, they will recover in a day. Yian did not continue to practice. Without the help of the Dharma, the speed of practice would plummet, and it would be unnecessary to do twice the work for half the result. He stood up and was about to take a step, but heard shouting from a distance. Master, master. The voice was getting closer and closer, and footsteps could be heard faintly. A smile appeared at the corner of Yian's mouth. It was Huzi, the fool. How did he find this place? Before he could even think of it, a tall figure appeared, casting a long shadow in the moonlight. This was a boy of only 16 or 17 years old, but he was a head taller than an adult, and he was as strong as a bear. He also saw Yian, and he couldn't help showing excitement, and rushed over in 1 step. Master. He fell in front of Yian, hugged Yian's legs with both hands, and burst into tears. Huzi thought you were dead. Although this was unlucky, Yian was not displeased at all, but showed a warm smile. Chapter 5. The God and Demon Bloodline. Huzi was an abandoned baby that his parents found when they were out doing business. The couple was kind-hearted and adopted the baby, naming him Yihu. Nicknamed Huzi. Huzi was not smart since he was a child. He got a headache when he touched a book. He was not good at martial arts and could not remember any martial arts. He had only one specialty, which was eating. His appetite was amazing. Many people in the Yi family advised Yian's parents not to keep this glutton, but they were opposed by Yian's parents. But when Huzi grew up to 12 years old, no one dared to say anything about him. He really had never practiced and did not know how to practice. But he was born with extraordinary talents and amazing brute force. At a young age, he had 1,000 pounds of strength, which was equivalent to a martial artist at the 1st level of the acquired realm. When he grew up to 16 years old, his strength further soared to 3,000 pounds, comparable to the 2nd level of the acquired realm. Huzi was simple and stubborn. Yian's parents treated him like their own son, and Yian treated him as a brother. He also regarded Yian's family as his benefactors. No matter how other people in the Yi family tried to poach him, they ignored him. Yian helped Huzi up and asked, "How did you find this place?" Everyone in the Yi family said that the young master was thrown away. So, Huzi asked someone. When the person didn't say anything, Huzi beat him up. After a while, he told the truth. Huzi said innocently. Yian laughed out loud. This was indeed Huzi's style. He was slightly stunned and stared at Huzi. "Young master, why are you staring at Huzi? Did Huzi not wash his face?" Huzi said a little embarrassedly, "It's really not Huzi's fault." Huzi heard that the young master was thrown away, so he hurried over. "Young master, don't be angry. Huzi will remember what you said in the future and wash his face before going out." Yian patted his shoulder. "Don't worry, I'm not angry with you." Why did the young master keep staring at his face? Huzi couldn't figure it out, but he also knew that he was stupid. If he couldn't figure it out, he simply stopped thinking about it and grinned. "Young master, let's go home." "No hurry." Yian waved his hand. He had confirmed it. The parents really found a treasure. Huzi has the blood of the sky-horned ant. After the creation of the world, the first batch of creatures born were gods and demons. They have powerful innate abilities, such as the three-eyed giant, who can not only see thousands of miles away, but also emit destructive rays, causing huge damage, such as the black tortoise. whose body is as indestructible as diamond. The sky-horned ant is extremely powerful, and even the most powerful 5 beasts, azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and Kirin cannot wrestle with it. Yian eliminated many top gods and demons, and also refined the innate abilities of these gods and demons, integrated them into the human race, and can be inherited with blood. This is the blood of gods and demons. The blood of gods and demons is rarer than the Dharma, and activation requires various conditions. Throughout the ages, there are too many people who have powerful blood power, but have lived in obscurity and died ordinary. There's another difference. For example, if you inherit the same frost spirit Dharma, there is no difference in the quality of the Dharma itself. The difference lies only in the individual's use of the Dharma, but the purity of the blood of gods and demons is different. For example, if you are both of the azure dragon blood, some people may only inherit 1/10,000th, and at most they can barely use some of the azure dragon's magical powers. But if it reaches 1% or even 100%, then you can even turn into an azure dragon. What concept? Azure dragon is one of the most powerful gods and demons in ancient times, equivalent to a saint, and one of the best among the saints, whose Yistianjiao ant blood is very rich. Otherwise it would be impossible to have such a terrifying physical strength without activation. Huzi, sit down. I will help you activate your blood, Yiyan said. Huzi was confused, but since the young master asked him to sit down, he had to obey. This young man was really stupid. He sat down without caring about the rugged ground, which was full of large and small stones. His skin was thick, and his flesh was rough, so he didn't feel the stone hurting his flesh at all. Yiyan smiled and stretched out his finger to point. He pressed several acupuncture points on Huzi, and suddenly, Huzi's blood could not flow smoothly, and was blocked in several places. Several blood vessels immediately bulged out, and his eyes were filled with blood. Master, Huzi is uncomfortable. The young man's head was full of blue veins, but he still didn't move his butt. The master asked him to sit, so he sat, and he would never get up even if he died. He just accepted this dead truth. Yiyan said in a deep voice, bear it. Throughout the ages, even if the emperors who appeared later were counted, there was absolutely no one who could be more proficient in how to activate the blood of gods and demons than Yiyan, because this is what he came up with. It's original. The ancestor. Yes, master, Huzi said in a muffled voice. Because the blood circulation was not smooth, some parts had too much blood and even began to turn purple, while some parts turned pale because of the lack of blood. The boy's eyes were red from congestion, but his lips were pale from blood loss, which was extremely strange and creepy. Hold on. Suddenly, Huzi roared, and the blocked acupuncture points were opened by him, and the blood immediately resumed its normal flow. He punched the ground, and bang, the gravel flew, and he smashed a pit 3 feet wide and 10 feet deep. Pa pa pa, a few pieces of gravel hit Yiyan. No mistakes in one post. One content, one book, one forum, 1619, one book, one forum. Huzi panicked when he saw this, but he didn't dare to stand up without Yiyan's order, and hurriedly said, Master, Huzi didn't mean it. Huzi didn't know what was going on. A force rushed out of his body, and he punched in a daze. It doesn't matter, Yiyan smiled, for his Tao source body, let alone a few pieces of broken stones. Even if Huzi used a sharp sword to stab him with all his strength, it would be impossible to break his defense. Huzi was so out of control and almost ran away, because he successfully awakened his blood under the pressure of life and death, and instantly broke through the sealed acupuncture points, causing the power to run away. Naturally, it was not his fault. Yiyan was very satisfied. Huzi could awaken his blood with such a simple method, which showed that his blood of gods and demons was really very strong. Picked up a treasure. Huzi, throw this stone out with all your strength. He pointed to a large stone on the ground. Huzi didn't ask why, just nodded, walked over, and lifted the big stone that was as tall as a person, as easily as if it was just a piece of paper. He roared suddenly, and threw the stone with all his strength. Whoosh! The big stone was thrown more than 10 feet high by him, and flew away like a meteor. It flew more than 100 feet away before falling heavily on the ground. making a loud noise, smashing the broken stones and sparks. How could this stone weigh 1,000 pounds? Huzi could actually throw it more than 100 feet away in one breath. What kind of terrifying power is this? The silly boy was shocked and stared at his hand blankly. Totally unbelievable. Yiyan smiled. The sky-horned ants were unparalleled in power among the ancient gods and demons. The silly boy only awakened some of the blood power. And even if it was all awakened, it would take time to grow slowly. After all, this is just the blood of gods and demons, not the gods and demons that were directly born when the world was first created. However, Huzi's strength has increased tenfold now, and he can be used. Huzi, let's go, Yiyan said. Huzi didn't ask where to go, just touched his head, silly. Yiyan put his hands behind his back and walked ahead. Where to go? Of course, to the Mao family, to give them a return gift. Chapter 6, in the end. Sunset, moonrise, the whole Sai County is shrouded in darkness, but the Mao family is brightly lit, as if it is daytime. Today is the 50th birthday of Mao Sihai, the head of the Mao family. With the status of the Mao family in Sai County, everyone except the Yu family must give face to attend his birthday banquet, because his daughter has already made an engagement with the Wang family in Sakang. Even the Yu family has to bow their heads and dare not compete with the Mao family. Didn't you see that Yi Yan was almost beaten to death by the Mao family? But the Yu family didn't say a word. The only stubbornness of the Yu family now is that they did not send anyone to attend the birthday banquet, but sent gifts during the day. This superficial dignity still needs to be maintained. Mao Sihai sneered. After his daughter married into the Wang family, he must go to the Yu family in person and force the head of the Yu family, Yi Shixone, to bow to him in public. Ha ha, the two have been fighting for more than 10 years, and now it will end with his complete victory. Who made him give birth to a good daughter? Before Yi Yan married into the Chu family, he was really scared at the beginning, fearing that the Yu family would take advantage of the situation to suppress him, causing the Mao family to be in a state of humiliation for several months, and watching the Yu family show off their power. What was the result? That son-in-law was a joke. Now the situation has changed, and it is the turn of their Mao family to climb up the ladder. Besides, can marrying a daughter be the same as marrying into the family? Looking at the full house of guests, Yi Sihai couldn't help but laugh even more happily. It won't be long before Sai County is dominated by the Mao family. At this time, a servant came in, holding a wooden box, and came to his side, saying, "Master, someone sent you a birthday gift." But because there is no invitation, the person was stopped outside. "Dad, I will help you open it." Mao Shenyi stood up immediately, looking a little curious. Mao Sihai didn't care. He thought that this must be a small family in the county, who wanted to cling to the Mao family, but they were not eligible to receive an invitation, so they had to send the gift directly now. Well, if this gift is precious enough, then let someone come in and take advantage of the Mao family's nobility. "Open it," Mao Sihai said with a smile, doting on his only son. Mao Shenyi opened the box and saw a roll of paper inside. "It seems to be calligraphy and painting," he said. Mao Sihai became interested. Although he was a warrior, he liked to be refined and collected a lot of antiques. Calligraphy and paintings. Obviously, the person who gave the gift was a researcher. Mao Shenyi took out the paper and opened it. When he opened the roll of paper completely, he was stunned at first, and then he became furious. There was only one word written on the paper: "End." Send end. Naturally, the people around saw it, and they all gasped and whispered to each other. After a few efforts, everyone in the banquet hall knew it. Who is this? It's too bold to send the Mao family to the end. Are you a bear or a leopard? Which bastard is this? Are you tired of living? Mao Shenyi cursed loudly, his face showing anger. Usually he was the only one who bullied others, but now someone dared to come to their Mao family's door to die, which naturally made him unbearable. Mao Sihai was much more cunning. He waved his hand, signaling his son not to be so excited, and said lightly, "Go and invite the person who brought the gift in." The servant who brought the wooden box in was so scared that his face turned green. Who would have thought that he would bring in such a gift? Isn't this a bad omen for the master of the family? Fortunately, the master of the family did not vent his anger on him. Yes, he quickly agreed and ran out quickly. All the guests raised their necks and looked at the door, wanting to see who this person with the guts was. After a while, the servant led two young men in, followed by a large group of servants. They obviously knew what happened, and when the master gave the order, they would rush over and tear the two young men into pieces. How? It was him. The shame of this county. Many people recognized the thin one of the two young men. Wasn't it Yan who married into the Chu family in Sucking and was just kicked out of the house with a divorce letter? This big joke was too much of a shock, and he dared to end the Ma family. Although the other young man was taller and more burly than most adults, he looked stupid and was just a little follower. It's you. Mao Xinyi pointed at Yi Yan's nose. Fuck. I was wrong not to beat you to death yesterday. The dead don't give gifts. He didn't know that the real Yi Yan was already dead. And now this one was the first emperor in the world. In a sense, he invited him back personally. Mao Xihai was of course unhappy, but Yi Yan was just a marginal member of the Yi family. He was much inferior to him in age, identity and status. If he went down in person, it would be too embarrassing. I'll let you deal with this person, he said lightly. Dad, don't worry, I will make this kid regret coming to this world, Mao Xinyi said viciously. No mistakes, one sentence, one post, one content, 1 book, 1 bar. As a standard playboy, he is not good at doing serious things. But when it comes to bullying and torturing people, he is naturally a good hand. He walked towards Yi Yan, and the servants also stepped forward and surrounded Yi Yan and the two. Yi Yan stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes swept over Mao Xinyi. He could feel his body instinctively disgusted and murderous towards this person. This is the resentment of the original owner. You can make the great emperor go down in person, which is also the first playboy in history. Shang, throw all of this major general and these two kids out, and beat them to death, Mao Xinyi said viciously. This time I will watch you be beaten into meat with my own eyes. Suddenly, these slaves stepped forward one after another, all of them like wolves and tigers. Yi Yan didn't even look at it, and said casually, Huzi, throw them all out. Okay, young master. Huzi nodded silly. This master and servant are really crazy. Even though Yi Hukong's martial arts are powerful and several times stronger than ordinary adults, he is just an ordinary person after all. Can he defeat the warriors raised by the Ma family? Taking a step back, even if a miracle really happens, it is hard to beat four hands with both fists. Even the strongest Chang Yutai and Yang Chunchi in the county can only have a share of hatred under the siege. Everyone shook their heads secretly, but due to the Ma family's tyranny, they did not even dare to show their sympathy, and they did not dare to speak out and drag themselves into the water. Huzi didn't care about that much. Since the young master said he wanted to throw all these people out, he would not think about why with his simple mind, and he would not even think about whether he could do it. He killed him directly. All the slaves sneered. This is such a stupid guy. Bang. Alas. Before they could turn a thought, they saw that the tiger was already out of the gate like a tiger, unstoppable, and the figures were flying like straw. These domestic slaves were completely decorated and were thrown around at will. All the guests were stunned. Is this young man still a human? It's just a tiger entering the flock of sheep. Too fierce. However, the Mao family is not just these miscellaneous soldiers. Not to mention that the chief entrusting Zhang Yutai is a master on the 5th level of the acquired world. Even the Mao family leader Mao Xihai himself is also in 4th level of the acquired world. How many people in Shixian are his opponents? Even if this young man, who is like a tiger and a bear, can only deceive ordinary people, when he meets a martial arts master, he can only drink hatred. Huzi rushed around for a few more times, but could not find the target again. He couldn't help but stood there stupidly, turned his head, and looked at Yi Yan, showing a look of embarrassment. Young master, what a stupid guy, everyone said in their hearts, and they were also envious. Who doesn't want one such servant?